Cool.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Let's Get Candid. My name is Kim Greco, and I have a very talented artist with me today. Let me tell you a little bit about him. His name is Stephen Findlay. Hey, Stephen. He began his career with the Alberta Ballet, then later with Ballet North, where he spent 4 seasons as a soloist. Stephen has a list of professional theater credits to his name. Here are just a few. He played Avram in Fiddler on the Roof, the priest in Mamma Mia, Lank in Crazy for You, and Mr. Braithwaite, and Billy Elliot. His movie and television credits include Queer as Folk, the Gemini Awards, Stormy Weather, Superstar, Once Upon a Mattress, one of my favorites actually, and that's just to name a few. And he has been featured in numerous television commercials. He has had the good fortune to work with great artists such as Donny Osmond, my heartthrob, Shania Twain, Ernie Combs, Mr. Dressup, Rex Harrington, Tracy Ullman, and the list goes on, my friend. You've been very busy. He's very sought after for teaching master classes across Canada and as an adjudicator. And he is a level 3 graduate from the Second City. And he was also a member of the casting team for Mirvish production, The Wizard of Oz. Please leave your questions and comments for Stephen. He'll be more than happy to answer them. And I'm going to introduce him now as the Dancing Baker, and that's why we're here today. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm so happy you're here. You brighten my day every time I see you. So we're going to talk a little bit about your career, when you started, your journey, where you are now. And while we're doing that, you have a little special something you're going to be doing for us. So tell us.
Yeah, here. So I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Ooh, yummy.
My niece's Lila's birthday. So I'm making her an Oreo cake. Now, this is basically a vanilla cake with Oreos through it. And it has Oreo buttercream. Now, what I've done so far is I've done what they call a crumb coat. So you just kind of coat the cake to seal in all the crumbs, and then you decorate it after.
Okay.
And it just makes for a smoother, kind of easier process of decorating. So this has a really great color. Now, unfortunately, my buttercream, it sat for a little while, so the dark has kind of taken over. But you know what? It's still going to be delicious.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I wish I could taste it virtually, but I don't think it's possible. So, Stephen, let's go back. So, when did you start dance? And you're from Alberta.
Actually, I'm from BC.
Oh, you're from BC. Okay, tell us about that. Yeah.
From BC, I started, in a very, very small kind of recreational studio in Abbotsford, BC. Mm-hmm. And, I started like many kids my age back then. We kind of danced once a week. I started in tap. That was my love. I wanted to be a tap dancer. Basically, I wanted to be Fred Astaire, to be quite honest. I wanted to be Fred Astaire.
Great goal.
Gene Kelly. I thought I was, when I was a very young boy, I thought, oh, this is what I'm going to do. There's never any question that I was going to be a dancer in my mind. And I thought, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to dance in Hollywood. Now, I never really danced in Hollywood. I mean, I took classes there. I had a group on Star Search there. But my career didn't quite pan out that way. My career took a different turn. So when I was about 15, we moved to Alberta. And I went to school in Alberta. That was, all of a sudden I came from the town of Abbotsford, which was very much a town back then. And I lived in Calgary, big city. I was kind of overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And I took at Alan Kazubo's School of Dance in Calgary. And I was very behind for my age. My tap work was right up there, but everything else, I was very, very behind for my age. And I was there for 2 years. And then from there, I went to ballet school. I got a scholarship to Al Gilbert's studio in Los Angeles from my tap exam.
Very nice.
But I also had heard about this ballet school in Edmonton. And I thought, oh my gosh, I should probably go there. I didn't know what to do. So I asked my teacher, Mr. Kazubo, where he thought I was best suited to be. And he said, I would really go for the ballet training at this stage of the game. So I did. I went there. I was 17. And again, especially ballet, I was so behind in my age. But, you know, I really fell in love with classical dance at ballet school. And I had not been in love with classical dance at all, actually. So I ended up staying. I ended up staying in ballet school. I was 17. I moved to Edmonton from Calgary. And I was, my first year, I was in class with 11 and 12-year-olds. So that kind of tells you where I was at. But the thing is, we had very few guys at the studio. So I was in every pas de deux class. And I believe we had 3 back then. But yeah, very few guys. So I had a lot of opportunity and I worked really hard. And by the end of the year, I got to the level where they could move me up to the advanced class with kids my age. So that was great. That was really good. How
did you feel going into a ballet class with younger students? Did that bother you at all?
You know, I was really honest with myself and I knew I was kind of behind. And I was kind of like, if I want to make it, if I want to really do something, this is kind of what I have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was okay with it. However, I was a good worker and I knew I could work hard enough to get bumped up. Also, I could do a lot of things. I had a lot of ability, just not a lot of technique.
Gotcha.
And I could turn like 5, 6 times, but you know, I had like a poor placement, bent supporting leg, not a great retire, stuff like that. So I just had to, you know, work that and everything. And they say kind of ignorance is bliss. You know, I was just so happy to be there.
That's amazing. What a great opportunity for you. And that you having the 2 opportunities to go and study tap or ballet, having the opportunity to study ballet at a later age intensely. I'm so happy that you took the ballet offer because I think that it really sets you up for success in anything else that you do as a dancer. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. My ballet training is what has been able to sustain me for all these years. Had it not been for ballet, I don't think I would have had as long a career for sure. Or, you know, or the career that I had, really. You know, because my technique was really, you know, even though I didn't have the best ballet body, I had really solid technique and really great foundational skills.
Yeah.
I was a very solid partner at a very young age.
Mm-hmm. And you know, you because you went in and had to work your way up, I feel like it just makes you a better teacher too, because you have to kind of go back, reassess, realign, go through all those painful exercises to build up to where you needed to be. So you actually apply that to when you teach. Do you feel that way?
I do feel that way. And, you know, getting back to kind of what I hinted at earlier, where I did not have the ideal ballet physique, you know, and so I feel I had a good understanding of others who don't have that kind of physique at their disposal. And so I feel sometimes when you have those limitations yourself, you're kind of better teaching others with those limitations, you know, and we all have them, no matter who you are. Now, the limitations I have would be much greater than, say, somebody from, you know, who went to the National Ballet School of Canada, who's probably flat turned out, you know, has beautiful feet. All those other things that, you know, that you need to be a ballet dancer, especially this day and age. You know, had I, you know, been dancing maybe, I don't know, in the 40s or 50s, it wouldn't have mattered so much, but it matters now.
Mm-hmm. It does. Quick question. What is that silver thing that you were using around the side of the cake?
That's just kind of an edger to make it really smooth.
Oh,
now,
cool.
I kind of wish I had just a bit more buttercream because my cake wasn't 100% even. And I didn't flatten the tops. Usually I flatten the tops and they kind of looked pretty flat to me. Mm-hmm. And then I discovered that, in fact, they weren't that flat. So I had to kind of fix it. You can fix a lot of things with buttercream and icing.
I didn't know that.
A little bit with some buttercream to make it level.
I love it. You know, I suppose I could cook and bake. I guess I don't know. Maybe you'll inspire me. I don't know. Okay, so tell me. We're going to fast forward to right now, and then we can go back and talk a little bit more about your career because it's quite exciting. You've And
Sure.
yeah, just an incredible career. So tell me about this Dancing Baker Canada. I'm excited. I've seen some of your videos on YouTube, which are amazing. They're so entertaining. And like I said at the top of this, you always make me smile. Like, honestly, if I need a good feeling, I just go watch you and it just sets me for the day. So thank you, my friend.
Oh,
So,
good.
yes, it does. So tell me, let's talk about your baking and this new platform that you're presenting to the world, which is fantastic.
Basically, it kind of happened like this. I baked a small amount in my early 20s and not very seriously at all. And a few years back, I was working at the Canadian Opera Company. And this friend of mine and I were walking out after a shift and just making small talk. And I said, "Oh, what are you guys doing tonight?" And he said, "Oh, we're going to watch a few episodes of the Great British Bake Off." And it's like, "Oh, what's that?" And then he told me, and I kind of became hooked. Okay, I kind of, I went home and I watched it and I was like, I really like this and everything. And I kind of became hooked. And so what I started doing was, that doesn't matter, I'm kind of done with that. What I started doing was I started just baking cookies, you know, and what I'd do with these cookies is I'd bring them into the people that I worked with.
Oh, lucky. But they were happy.
You know, that's for sure. But I thought, oh, I'm going to bring these in for people at work, you know. So I'd do that. I started kind of doing that every single weekend. Every single Sunday morning, I would bring in cookies and I'd try different recipes, and I just kind of fell in love with it. And I kind of had wondered why I had fallen in love with that in particular. And, you know, I was never really huge on a lot of reality shows, to be quite honest. I always, you know, I could take them or leave them. But I really like this one, and I was trying to figure out why I really like this one. And part of it was when I watched them, they were actually kind to each other, and they were actually nice to each other.
I like it.
And that really went a long way with me, because I tell you, I watched another reality show of these contestants saying, I didn't join this competition to make friends. So I'm telling you, you know what? You're doing a good job because you're not making any friends. I couldn't stand watching. So, but I could stand.
You're making a good point. Yes.
Watching these guys.
Yeah.
And I just kind of fell in love with baking. And you know what? I'm a very still novice baker. But the whole point of my YouTube show is, A, to have some fun and to show people that you can do it. You know, you just put in a little practice. I'm just going to test this. This is a chocolate ganache.
Okay.
That's very good.
Is it good? My mouth is watering.
All chocolate ganaches really is basically heavy cream and chocolate that you mix together. And you make a ganache. It might still be a bit warm. I'm going to get a plate.
Yeah, of course. You do your thing. Absolutely. How do you like living in the East?
I do.
Yeah.
It's where I live. Yeah, this is good actually. Where I live is very small, but it's very beautiful. So, yeah, I like it. Good. Now I'm going to just do that. And I'm going to let it drip down the sides.
Oh, it's so nice. And this is for your niece's birthday? Is that what you had said?
Yeah, I've seen other bakers who are much more accomplished than me do this. And I've seen them do it with a variety of things. I've seen them do it with a piping bag.
Wow.
I think that takes a little more skill than what I have. But I find this little squeeze bottle, I have a little more control. So I could do it there. And the drip doesn't have to be symmetrical. In fact, it's better if it's not.
Right.
You know?
Doing a great job. Looks
thanks.
beautiful. Yes. And how old is your niece? Is it your niece that you're bringing this?
Yeah, she's turning 12 today. 12 going on 17. She's great. Very articulate.
Lucky girl to have this fabulous cake.
Yeah, this has been fun. This cake is a pretty involved cake, to be quite honest. It's from a website called the Preppy Kitchen.
Okay.
And it's a guy, and his work is beautiful. You know, I as I said, I did adjust this buttercream because it was the original one was a little almost too sweet, I think, for a Canadian palate. Maybe, I'm not sure. But a bit too sweet for me. Mind you, this looks like it's all sugar anyway.
It does. Now, when I do know the answer, but I want everyone that's listening in. So you bake all these cakes. Obviously, you're not eating all of them and the cookies. So what do you do with all of these desserts and cakes and things that you're making? I mean, maybe I know you don't eat them all yourself, but.
No, I share them with my neighbors.
Lucky.
You know, there's been many times here that I do a cookie drop off. In fact, the video that I just shot the other day, there's a contest to name the cookie because I actually came up with the flavor profile.
Okay.
This cookie. So now I'm going to put this ganache on top as
Lovely.
well. There's not nearly enough sugar in here.
So did they name the cookies? Is the contest over or is it still happening?
It's not over, no. So if you go and watch my video, you can still participate. There is a front runner so far. And I've only had a few. You know, I'm kind of brand new to this whole YouTube thing and navigating YouTube and everything.
Sure.
Kind of brand new to the equation. So, you know, I'm still learning how to, you know, how to gain followers and all that kind of thing. One of the things with my video, I mean, you know what? There are fantastic, talented bakers on YouTube that are really, really superior to what I do. However, as I said, what I'm here to show you is that anybody can do this, you know? So I pick recipes that are accessible, you know, that basically we can all achieve. You know, and I've had a few people, like I have a cinnamon bun recipe on there. I've only done 2 videos, and I've had a few people tag me on it. So they've tagged me on the cinnamon buns.
Nice.
And
it looks so good.
It's okay.
You even move like a dancer when you're decorating your cake. The way you're moving, I love it. All right, let's talk about some of these commercials and working with these fantastic people. Donny Osmond, Shania Twain, Mr. Dress Up, one of my favorites growing up. Tell us about that time in your life.
Mr. Dress Up, I'm going to say was the best.
It was.
Everybody. Yeah, because, you know, he's a childhood hero, right? You know, it's Mr. Dress Up. He was funny. He was kind. He was many, many things. That was my favorite. When I worked with Shania Twain, she wasn't famous. Her name's Eileen Twain. And I tell you, she was such a smart cookie. She was very humble, very smart, very focused as far as knowing where she wanted to go in life. She had, at that time, when we still had cassette boxes full of stuff that she had written. And we were doing a show together at the Deerhurst Resort. And after that show was over, she knew that she was going to move to Nashville and pursue her career there. And it was about not that long after that all of a sudden she was really one of the biggest country singers ever.
Yes,
you know. And I'm glad for her. I'm glad for her success. I think she got what she deserved. You know, she worked really hard. Now recently, and we don't stay in touch. I don't really know her now, but I have seen that she developed Lyme disease and it affected her voice greatly. I think she lost probably an octave in her voice. But, you know, she's very down to earth, very grounded. So
that's nice to hear. That's really nice to hear.
Absolutely.
What is it you're doing now?
Okay, so this is called a skirt. So basically, these are Oreos that I, you know, crushed up in the food processor. And I'm just putting a little skirt of Oreos on the bottom, which is also a great way to hide any imperfections.
Kind of like makeup.
Yeah. But, I really like the idea of this skirt. It just brings another kind of layer to the whole thing. And then there is another step. I'm going to do some piping stuff on the top, but you kind of have to let the ganache chill. Else all the buttercream will just go all over. And, you know, my piping skills are not quite there yet either, right? I'm still working on that. I'm still working on a lot of it, to be quite honest.
And you're having fun the whole time. I love it.
Yes, I'm having fun the whole time. And I also needed something here specifically in Lunenburg because I'm not right in the city. You know, I was that guy, I was taking advanced ballet class all the way up until 54 years old. you know, I needed a creative kind of outlet.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so, you know, this is kind of one of my creative kind of outlets that I like to do. I also like to write. I like to do a lot of stuff. And to be honest, I've had a fun time putting together my videos. I've already started thinking about what the next one will be. And, you know, you kind of have to, I don't feel you have to one up yourself each one, but I do feel you kind of have to bring something different.
Right. Right. Exactly.
You know, really, especially if, you know, there's a little bit of humor in there, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the next one. I'm a big fan. Okay, so I had a couple of interviews, and one most recently was with Mike Cameron, male dancer. So I asked him what it was like growing up in his small town as a male dancer. He also played hockey, and how he kind of dealt with not bullying per se, but just, you know, having to kind of maybe hide it a little bit. You know, it wasn't really acceptable to be a dancer. And he had started very, very young.
Right.
What was it like for you as a male dancer growing up?
You know, it's funny. Everything was okay up until grade 7, to be quite honest. My classmates were right there kind of with me. All of that was good. Then it all kind of changes in grade 8, you know, and I guess it's kind of like peer pressure, everything else like that, where all of a sudden, you know, people who were my friends and who were really good to me, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them just were not. They were very cruel. I had been jumped, you know, by kids that I didn't even know from another school who had heard I had danced. And I was a very, very, to be quite honest, I was a very emotional child. And I had a hard time dealing with it, to be quite honest.
I guess so.
Now I'm just going to let this sit in the fridge, but I always had the kind of I'll show him kind of attitude, or I'll show them kind of attitude, and I think that's kind of what saved me. And ballet school saved me. There we go.
And how long does it have to stay in the fridge now?
Well, until the chocolate solidifies, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe little buttercream things on top, and if I pipe it onto hot chocolate, it's just going to go whoosh.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have to start all over again.
Yeah. I asked a friend of mine about piping, and she said, you know, you have to get your piping bag, scoop the icing in, work on it, on a board like this, scoop it back in, keep working on it. I don't have that kind of time today, so.
It's okay. It's all good.
But, yeah, so to get back to what you were talking about, but everything, when I got to ballet school, it was kind of like, I felt like I was finally kind of where I belonged, and I was at home. And the funny thing about the people who picked on me, they weren't my close friends. My close friends were always there. But the people that picked on me were kind of the jocks and the good-looking people and the pretty girls and everything like that. It was really kind of the ne'er-do-wells who were like really good to me. They were just more chilled out.
Interesting. Yeah.
They didn't care less.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a funny dynamic growing up for sure.
Yeah.
But you get through it.
You do get through it, and you know, obviously, I think you really focus on it's something you really want to do, and you're like kind of that attitude, like I'll show you. You know, you kind of just brush it off, and the fact that you're at ballet school also creates a place of harmony and safety for a child, I think, too, because you're with like-minded people, and you all have the same focus in mind. That the teachers have the same goals for you. And you have to work so hard. There's no time for foolishness. Anyways, you know.
That's for sure. Yeah, but, you know, after that period of time, and it was difficult, everything was fine. Yes. You know what I mean? Not to say that, you know, the career is never easy. You know, the career is never easy, but everything was fine. And I think one thing it really taught me, and not to say that I've always hit it out on the park in this respect either, but it really taught me how to treat other people, or rather how not to treat other people. I think, when I was younger and as a hot kind of jazz dancer and everything, I probably had a little bit more of an ego, but I think I was always kind, or at least I hope I was always kind. And, it seems that a lot of my lot in life through my career has also been to be the enabler to help people, who are having a hard time maybe getting to the next level, who I feel really deserve to be at the next level. I'll give them a boost up in whatever way I can, whether it's an interview with an agent or getting them into an audition that I might be running. I've done stuff like that if you put the work in.
Yeah, if you put the work in, absolutely. Yeah. I hear from you a common thread about kindness and just being good to your friends and your fellow humans. And I love that. I love that message that you're sending out. And like I said, you truly put a smile on my face every time I see you, or I get a message from you on, Facebook, or we work together. And you're just a really great person. So you're definitely a gift, my friend. You're definitely a gift for sure. Yeah. And I think good things come to people that give out good things too. So clearly your career has been amazing. You've worked with some incredible people, and you've been able to share that, and share who you are. So that's pretty cool, I have to say. Yeah. I think I met you when we adjudicated once many years ago at the airport. I think we kind of just didn't really know who was who, and then we all got into the van together, and it was like, and that's just kind of how I met you, and we've kind of known each other ever since. And I don't even remember how long ago that was, but
was that in Banff the first time we worked together?
I think it was, yes. I actually think it was in Banff, yes.
Yeah. That's a long, long time ago.
Yes, I was a lot younger. Lot younger.
Gosh, it's funny. And even back then, I didn't think I would, well, I'm not in it how I would have thought, but I didn't think I would be in the industry how I am now. And I didn't think even back then. I had a TV series that I wrote and created that was in development with Rhombus Media. Now, sadly, it died in development, but I thought, and everything always seemed to lead me back to theater and dance and everything like that. I didn't think, the last time I was on stage dancing was when I was 54.
Wow.
So I'm 56 now, and last season I choreographed Guys and Dolls, so I wasn't on stage at all. Now, really, I don't know realistically how much there will be in my future, but I've really learned to never say never, because I think I've retired from the stage about 3 or 4 times.
Right.
And I always end up back on stage somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow.
That's incredible.
Is also my way. I live in a town of 2,800 people, so this is my way of keeping engaged with art.
Absolutely.
Really. Yeah. Keeping my dance roots kind of alive. The more fun I make my videos and funny and add a little more dance, that's kind of what I bring to the table. So I bring that to the table and to show you, you know what, if I can bake this, so can you.
I don't know if I can. You haven't seen me in the kitchen. I'm going to go with, nope, not for me.
I'm not really that good of a cook.
Yeah, no, you're good. Well, I don't know. You look good to me. You've got all those fancy pots and that scraper thing. I think you look, and that piping thing. I think you look pretty good.
Well, baking, I seem to take a little bit more to. Cooking, I'm really, really hit and miss. My partner's a really good cook.
Oh, good.
Now, I hit on a few things really well, but sometimes it's like, so not bad, but boring,
Well, at least the dessert's going to be fantastic. I can see that clearly. So when's your next video coming up?
I like to let one sit for about a week or so, but I'm finding now that as soon as, that one's kind of dropped, and I'm still working on how to get people to watch it and get more subscribers and everything. So if you subscribe to my channel, The Dancing Baker Canada,
please do, everybody.
When it's finished, I start thinking, okay, what am I going to do next?
Right.
And so I'd already decided what product I'm going to do next, but I'm thinking, okay, how can I bring it to life? How can I make it fun? So that's where I am right now. So I'm making that, and I want to just do a quick trailer for my channel, which I haven't done yet. Okay. And I think I'm going to do my trailer with still shots.
Oh, nice. That'll be really exciting. I'm looking forward to that for sure. You get very excited when you're talking about this. So I can tell this is exactly where you need to be right now, my friend.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so I have to ask you a question. So, you know, we do get lots of dancers who listen into the interviews, and which is wonderful. So give some advice, if you wouldn't mind, to some of these young performers or young dancers, especially those that are off right now, dying to get back into the studio.
Right.
What could you tell them now?
Oh my gosh, so much. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to give a piece of advice that actually a friend of mine, because you know, a colleague had asked me, you know, if you could give one piece of advice, what would it be? And I always go back to being kind and being humble. And I think that's for everybody, no matter what you do. That will just serve you well in life. But a piece of advice that a friend of mine, Tracy Fly, who was a brilliant dancer, who's evolved into a brilliant director, choreographer. She's really a brilliant woman. I heard her say to the young gentleman, she said, "Be honest with yourself what your gifts are, and then work really hard on that."
Oh,
and I was like, oh my God, that's a great piece of advice. So I'm stealing that,
yes.
which we all steal, like great advice we should all take from each other.
Of course.
You know, but one thing too, you know, if I'm going back to a competition dancer, I'm going to say still what's really, really hot right now is contemporary dance. And I think that's great. I love contemporary dance.
Yes.
I always tell them to have more than one card to play in your back pocket. Okay, so be open to other possibilities as well. And if you truly want to be a contemporary dancer, you need, I think, to do your research. And research is so available now to us on the internet. You know, I'll ask a group of 17, 18-year-old competitive dancers, and, you know, I'll say, you know, who's your favorite contemporary choreographer? And they come up with really great people, but their knowledge is very limited. They'll come up with basically who was maybe working on So You Think You Can Dance, whoever is hot,
of course,
here right now. And I'll say to them, what do you think of Crystal Pite? They look at me and they're like, who's Crystal Pite? Crystal Pite is one of the biggest choreographers out of Canada ever, who choreographs for the Netherlands Dance Theatre, for the National Ballet of Canada. You know, her work is done worldwide. I'll say, what do you think of Azure Barton? Azure Barton, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, she choreographed for Baryshnikov's White Oaks project, and she has her company in New York State, and she has this. Do your research and find out about all the different possibilities, and then find the rep that kind of works for you, and maybe go after that. You're not always going to get exactly what you want, but it may lead you to wonderful, wonderful other things. I mean, I always wanted, when I was a young dancer, I thought, I'm going to be with the Grand Ballet Canadian. Right. That's what I wanted to do. I loved their repertoire. I loved that company's energy, everything. And that happened for me. But, you know, me shooting for those goals led to many, many other things that created so much value in my life. I mean, I don't know how many dancers have had the good fortune, like I have, to have a career, you know, a short career in ballet, but I've had a career as a ballet dancer. Yes. And I've been a jazz and musical theater teacher. I even teach a little bit of ballet and pas de deux. Now, I've, you know, worked in theaters across Canada. I've done major motion pictures, commercials. Like, I've done a lot of things. I've also done a lot of crappy gigs. I've done, like, you know, bar mitzvahs and stuff like that are, you know, a little bit not great, stuff like that. But you take the good with the bad, right? You know, and you cherish all of them, because dance is a good thing. Yeah. You know, and as I said, I didn't think I would be still moving at this age, so I'm very fortunate, you know, in that respect, that I'm still able to do the stuff that I am doing now. I will say, in my last year in Toronto, when I was 54, I was finding it was then that just years of wear and tear, not anything specific that I was doing, that I would get injured very easily. Right. Yeah. This is the time where I need to kind of back off doing a lot of the stuff I was doing. Right. You know, not stop dancing, just be smarter about it. Right, and modify it a little bit for your body, right? And the fact that you can recognize that and you're in tune with your body makes a big difference too, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Stephen, that is great advice. I mean, I really hope that the dancers that are watching this really listen in and pull something out for them. And when they're able to get back in the studio, give them a little bit of spark and enthusiasm, put some wings under them a little bit as well. So,
Right.
you know, hard work, be kind, be humble, share, and explore other genres, artists, and see what works for you, because you may not fit into that particular brand or pigeonhole as a dancer, but you may in another that you hadn't thought about. So really keeping your mind open is what I'm hearing from you, and that's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to give the Dancing Baker Canada one more plug before we go. But my friend, thank you so much for hopping on. That cake looks delicious. Please take a picture of it so I can like put it up with the interview. Okay, it's all done, please and promise. So let's give you another plug. So let's tell everybody where to find you and how to subscribe.
Okay, so you can find me on YouTube at the Dancing Baker Canada. My name is Stephen Findlay, obviously, and also on Instagram at the Dancing Baker Canada. So come to my channel. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
I'm a gourmet baker, but you know, we'll have some fun together.
Absolutely. Are you going to give us one of your signature moves at the end here before we end this fantastic interview?
Oh, sure. Let's see. Which one should I do today?
I don't know.
Whack, boom, ha, ha, ha.
I love you, my friend.
You know.
What's that?
There is a story to those. When I first started posting like just little things on Facebook for my friends,
yes.
When I used to teach, and I'd be teaching young professionals at Metro Movement in Toronto, it's a wonderful studio. Mm-hmm. When we'd go across the floor, we'd do, I don't know, say like a bat on. And I'd say, okay, on the way back, you could do it with a layout. And some of them would look at me like, oh, my body is killer today. I said, it could be an optional layout. You know, you don't have to do it. So when I was first doing this, I was always ending my videos with an optional layout. But for me, a layout is never optional. Just do it.
Just do it.
Exactly.
I'm going to take the option to do the optional. Well, my friend, thank you for joining us today, the Dancing Baker Canada. This is Stephen Findlay, everyone. I hope you visit and subscribe. And I think you can still name those cookies, right? Is that on YouTube or Instagram?
Yeah, it's my second video. If you come up with the name for my cookies, and there is a front runner right now, so you have to beat her.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a baker's dozen. You can private message me.
Nice. Very nice. Good. All right. Well, you're going to take a picture of that cake when it's all done, and we'll upload that for everyone as well.
Beautiful.
Thank you, my friend. Bye.
Nice to see you. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. See ya.